Welcome back to another election prediction. Now, what the channel has been missing thus far is an RFK incorporation into the polls, into the election writ large. And so let's do a hypothetical. So recent news has dictated that RFK is gaining ballot majorities, and basically he's able to have enough signatures and backing to be on the ballot in 3 battleground states. So previously, as of a couple weeks ago, he was only on the ballot in New Hampshire, which kind of matters, and Utah, which is irrelevant. Okay, so he is getting more ballot access. So he actually becomes more and more of a historical figure in this election rather than just a footnote as a third party. And so he has gained ballot access in different states. So, for example, the campaign by Kennedy says that they have enough votes for Nevada, which is a swing state. Also, his super PAC says that they have enough signatures to get on the ballot in Arizona, which is where I'm from right now. Also, Georgia, too. So, 3 big swing states. So as we can see, he's becoming a fixture in these important battleground states. He's already in 4 out of the 6 states that I would say are the pivotal ones. And so therefore, he's going to actually make an impact on this election result, I think. Now, for this hypothetical, considering that he's on track to get on all these battleground state ballots, I'm going to assume, just as a theoretical, that he becomes the nominee for the Libertarian Party, just so that he has ballot access everywhere. And so that's just going to make the hypothetical a little easier so we can get the predictions done. But right now, according to 538 polls, we have the favorability rating of Robert F. Kennedy at 7.8 net positive. So as of this last week, he's up by 8. Now, this is better than both candidates. So you could see that he's kind of like a benign person, like a safety valve. So basically, like if you're the quarterback and you don't know where to throw it, he's that running back in the flat that can maybe get 3 yards. Okay, so that's how a lot of people are going to view RFK. So that's going to be a good 1 in 6 voters that are going to vote in that capacity in a large way. So if you look at his favorability, again, it's been largely positive. And even when it's unfavorable, it's only slightly. So by 3, even though he has upsides of 17, 12, 9, and 7. So there you go. So just for reference, folks, we have the RFK number as positive 8. For Joe Biden, he's at a negative 18%. Okay. For Donald Trump, his popularity is at a negative 11%. So Biden's at a negative 18, Trump's at a negative 10.7, and RFK is at a positive 8. So that plays into the factors that we're going to incorporate into the video. Looking at the most recent polls by Real Clear Politics, you can see that the average has Trump up by 4.3 in a 3-way race. Now, in a 1v1, which is not going to happen in real life, the election where it's Biden versus Trump, so like Batman v Superman plus senility, you've got Trump up by 1.8%. So his lead over doubles. But where does RFK play into this? Well, Trump's at a 40% plurality, similar to Clinton over Bush Sr. in 92. Then you have Biden at 35.5 and you have Kennedy at 15. Now, this is important, of course, because even though Kennedy's less than half the loser candidate in Biden in regards to support, that's still 1 in 6.5 voters going for Kennedy, which is huge. And so anyway, looking at Kennedy, his gulf of support goes as low as 9%, but as high as 22%. And so if you average that out, that's about 15%. So his total being this makes complete sense to me. So let's assume that he's going to get 15% of the vote everywhere. So also keep in mind that RFK is a net positive to Donald Trump. And we're going to put this into the map very shortly. So just think about this. Trump is winning the popular vote by 2% according to the polls right now. Now, Trump's lead goes to over double that to 4.3 in an aggregate. Well, what does that mean, folks? Well, what it means is that RFK in most polls is taking votes away from Biden and giving them to Trump implicitly by them abstaining. And that makes sense. When we're looking at people today, it's going to be a lot of people, you know the type, the Joe Rogan people, the don't like either candidate, but would have voted for Biden had he not been senile and so awful as president. So these people that probably would have held their nose and voted for any generic Democrat, like even a Amy Klobuchar or whatever, are going to be voting RFK. So that's going to be part of this polling. Now let's get to the map. So we're getting to straight fundamentals. We think that RFK is going to take a couple of votes away on the net from from Joe Biden and Kamala Harris overall. Okay. Now we're not considering the vice president for for Donald Trump or RFK because we don't have those yet. And it doesn't really matter in this prediction. I don't think it'll make the difference anyway. So let's go ahead and just fill these out. So as you can see, we already have some safe states, of course. Let's fill out some of the red ones as well. Oh my God. Okay, well, there you go. There we go. We're getting close to the truth here. And what you'll notice right off the bat is that these deep blue or red states are not impacted in any discernible way with the third party vote because it's only going to make a couple percent difference. So it's only going to really matter in the swing states, hence why you can see somebody like RFK filling out the states that are somewhat close in terms of signature petition. So keep that in mind. But anyway, so for example, let's fill in the states that I'm pretty confident about. Texas is going to go 10 points, north of 10 points for Donald Trump at this rate with RFK on the ballot. Hawaii is going to be a little closer even, but it doesn't matter. Still safe blue. We have a state like Ohio going over 10 points for Trump in this prediction. We have a state like North Carolina also going pretty strongly Republican. In fact, I think it goes like 7 points Republican in this case. Because again, remember, Trump's lead goes up by 2.5 on average in the aggregate if RFK is on the ballot. And so even if RFK doesn't get any electoral votes, even a single one in any state, he still impacts the race in favor of Donald Trump. But these results vary by state, of course. So, for example, in a state like Iowa, again, it's not going to matter too much. If RFK is going to travel anywhere and try to get his message out there, it's going to be probably the swing states because I think he wants to play spoiler. I think that he prefers a Trump presidency over a Biden one, to be honest. And that's the truth. Now, he's probably going to make Trump win Nebraska's 2nd district. Not that it matters in this prediction. I also think that he would probably make Maine stronger for the Republicans, of course. So Trump he has a decent chance at actually winning Maine's popular vote as a whole state. And so if that's the case, then adding 2.5 to Trump's odds via RFK is going to help a lot. We also see a state that normally should go as a purple state is going to be very blood red at this point, and that's going to be Florida with 30 electoral votes. And then we're also going to move on to another state. Now, this state is typically pretty strong Democrat, but in fact, I think that this is definitely one thing that is complicated about this 3-way race. Well, first of all, with RFK on the ballot, Colorado is full of these Joe Rogan, let's do weed, bro. Let's do DMT, bro. Man, I don't know, bro. Biden sucks, bro. But like, I'm not a Republican, brah. That sort of voter is definitely going to be more amenable to RFK. In fact, if RFK gets like 11% of the vote in Wisconsin, I could see him getting 20-ish% in Colorado just by virtue of appeal. And so keep that in mind. Now, also keep in mind that the people in Colorado think that they're in a safe blue state now. So I don't know if they're going to be wanting to vote for Biden when they can just go get the luxury vote with RFK and just feel dignified by getting their guy in. So by that logic, I think that Colorado is going to be a little closer than usual. And I guess North Carolina will just put in a safe red. Also Iowa, Ohio, safe red. I wasn't doing margins and I don't care to do them now, but I'll clarify some things for y'all if you're being autistic in chat. There you go. Okay, so moving on. New Mexico also was a strong Gary Johnson state. If RFK were the Libertarian nominee for pragmatic reasons, Gary Johnson, could he be campaigning with him there? Now, you could really run up the results. I think Gary Johnson got double digits in New Mexico because he was governor there, and a good one at that. And I mean, RFK could get a lot of those bona fides from 2016 if he plays his cards right and really networks correctly. So if that's the case, then I could see Biden doing worse in New Mexico, frankly. So I think it'd be like a lean blue state at that point. It'd be pretty close, even though he won it by over 10 in 2020. Now, moving on, we got the state of Virginia. I think Virginia is going to be pretty close even. I think that Trump is probably going to lose the state by like 4 in 2024. And so if you take 2.5 away from that, it'll be a tilt blue state at that point, which is pretty depressing for Democrats because it's gone blue for, I think, 16 years straight since 2008. So that would be kind of depressing if it ever got that close. Moving on, I think Minnesota is a good state to pull. I think that Minnesota is going to be very, 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 very much in flux. So Minnesota, oftentimes I could see going very slightly Democrat, but of course, if you add 2.5 to the Republicans, Trump might take the state. In fact, if he has a lead of 4.3 in the popular vote, how is it going to vote 4.5 points to the left of the country? Why? So maybe a tilt Minnesota is in order. But I mean, if it's a tilt Minnesota, then let's look at these other states that are closer. New Hampshire is a state that is an independent streak, of course. And so they like moderates. They like the RFK types. I think that RFK might actually ticket split enough for Trump to win it slightly as well. Moving on. I think that him being on the ballot in Nevada early is also a good sign for Trump. Well, what it means, folks, is that obviously he's going to be campaigning more. So if RFK is campaigning more in Nevada, that means he's taking more votes implicitly from Biden. So it's like a reverse Ross Perot. If that's the case, then we're going to have Trump win Nevada by a lean margin by like 3-ish points at least. Now, I think Michigan is going to be the least likely state to go right out of all of these. But given how Biden has been pressed into a corner by Netanyahu saying that he's going to invade Gaza. From what I heard, it seems like he's between a rock and a hard place. And we know tens of thousands of Arabs are not going to be so happy. So, you know what? I think a lean Michigan is in order. I think Trump's going to win it by like 3 to 4 if RFK is on the ballot. Now, moving on, I think Wisconsin is also even more likely to go Republican in this case. Of course, Joe has done nothing for the state, and RFK is going to get a lot of those tweener votes in Ozaki and these sort of wow counties in the suburban Milwaukee area. So, I mean, that's pretty obvious to me. And then what's more is that we've got people in the state of Georgia that are obviously looking at the Biden policies that they voted in 2020, not knowing better, and seeing them completely collapse. And I don't think RFK is going to even matter too much. I think Trump's going to win it regardless. Likely margin, because RFK is going to add 2 to 3 points to that margin. Net Trump votes. That's going to be brilliant for him. And he's already won the election by a country mile at this point, but let's go ahead and go to the last 2 states. If you've been watching the polling recently, I don't know why, but Pennsylvania has been closer than the other swing states. I don't even know how that's even possible. But it seems to me as if even though Biden seems to be competitive in the state, you give Trump another 2.5 on the average, then that's obviously going to help Trump win it by a lean margin there, folks. Now, Arizona, also complicated because Arizona, point like by and large, is going to be really amenable to an RFK as a moderate politician, but also the old Kennedy name. I think that's going to go really well with those old boomers from in their 70s, you know. Also, again, Trump is already leading in polls in Arizona by like 6. So it's going to be a likely red state if you add RFK into the mix. And so there goes your prediction. 329 for Trump. Biden Harris gets 209 and RFK ends up with 0. This is assuming that RFK gets the 15% that's in the RCP aggregate. He makes Trump gain 2.5 points everywhere, which makes it a whole lot easier to win all the swing states, but also it makes it possible for him to flip states like New Hampshire and Minnesota and maybe Nebraska second and mean at large. So that's going to be the difference between that and my normal maps. See y'all in the next video, and adios.